And we live.
Oh boy.
I know it's been fun. We'll get to
Oh,
why I feel we're coming in like midway here, but yeah, welcome to Power Rangers, the Putty Hour, season 2, episode 7. Can you believe we've been like doing this on a steady basis?
yeah, yeah.
Yes, we're like real people now.
I mean, eventually you gotta like dig in your heels and get correct, So I hope 2.0 is our 2.0, and getting correct. And so far so good, cross your fingers. Cross your fingers.
Yeah, we've had the awesome opportunity to have some great guests over the past few weeks, but
Yes.
yeah, me tonight is a kind of back to where it all started. Just me and
Yeah.
you speaking out
It's the
about Power Rangers.
OGs. OG
Yeah, it's the OGs, man.
conversations.
We're the
Yes.
black and gold right now
Yes.
to the 2.0, bringing some of that in there. So yeah, let's get into some news. It was kind of funny because I was even talking to you about this. And by the way, if you see me sort of like kind of sort of like out of breath and a little discombobulated, my little daughter came in and had a wonderful time at the zoo, but was like had to say hi to me right as I was about to hit the button to go live.
Oh,
So
right.
yeah,
He's Matt and I'm Nick, by the way. We kind
yeah,
of
we should
like
probably
we
say
could
that. Should we
we
say that?
kind of I think we just went past it because we're back in the OG days. Because
I
just you and
know. Just
me, we
assume.
we have our flow going, and before you get lost in dad, I want to make sure that you're like, okay, let's get the we
Thank you,
can
Nick.
roll with the dad brain, but
Thank
it's
you.
like, no, we did forget to introduce ourselves
Thank
here.
you. You
Yes.
know what? I just assume no one knows who I am or cares. So I I'm just a
Hey,
faceless
someone's
name in the void.
someone's watching or listening to this show eventually. It's okay, this
Yeah. Uh, these are my most fun hours throughout the week. I enjoy this
absolutely.
immensely. So let's get to it was gonna be a little thin, and then a bunch of stuff happened. And in the
Yes.
fandom and everything. So it got people talking, and of course, then some cool things. So let's start from the beginning. So, Lil Adam 87, Adam on Twitter, kind of started a really cool kind of, I guess you'd call it a campaign, a hashtag campaign where it was going to be I love Power Rangers, and on this day, if you were a Power Rangers fan, or even in the Power Rangers like universe, because we had people chiming in who actually
Mhm.
like been a part of the show and things like that. And you're just gonna express why you love Power Rangers. Ironically, we were talking about it, and I did not get to tweet mine, so I was not in the middle of it. But there was some really cool. There's a bunch of different tweets and videos and fun things about why people love Power Rangers. Some really just it's like one of those heartwarming things. You get some great stories. Some people came at it later, some were kids, whatever, right? And then it got to a point where like the official Power Rangers account
Yes.
then kind of noticed that. Now, I don't know if they like were kind of watching it beforehand, like, oh, they maybe heard about it and then had some things prepped, or they just went ahead and did it during the day. But either way, they sent out a message that was like, we love the fans, and it was really cool, and it had the same hashtag. And then on top of that, they also revealed the first figure of their new wave of Lightning Collection
Oh,
figures as a celebratory, hey, thank you so much for showing all the love and all that, right?
that's neat.
It's
Yeah.
a so it's a really cool, like feel good, huggy hug type of story, which I love. So there was just a lot of that. Now, of course, obviously, with any fandom, you're going to get the naysayers or like the pessimistic view of it, which is like we're doing your job.
Which is mine. Yes. Yeah, of
We'll
course.
get to that. Hey, Sir Glean, how are you, man? Thanks so much for
Yeah,
joining
shout
and
outs to
taking the
Sir
time.
Glean. Shout
Yeah, for
outs.
sure, man. Appreciate it. And sorry, I'm glad Nick made us say our names. New to the stream. I'm glad he made us say our names at
See,
the beginning.
see, there's always somebody new listening. You
Um,
always have to keep an eye out. Yes.
for sure. So, you're gonna have some that were like, look, this is awesome, this is great, but kind of have issues with like, well, why aren't you doing more? Right? Why is it the fans that are doing all this? Why aren't you doing more?
Right.
And that so we saw some of that, and we also saw some like, hey, it's really cool that they even took the time to prep that stuff and do a reveal that they would have saved for, a post later on or through an outlet or whatever. So we have both sides of that. So I guess just one, how do you feel about it in general? And is this a win for the PR fandom? And does Hasbro deserve some props here? What do you feel about all that?
Well, before I get into the negative stuff, because I do
Oh,
have
God.
I do have some feelings about it. Like I can't just let it scoot by.
That's why you're here, Nick.
Because
That's why you're here.
I mean, I didn't get to post mine either because I was that. Well, I might as well get into that. Like then I saw the rules and I was like, oh, they wanted Adam wanted three reasons why you loved it, which is cool. Yeah, I get it. And then also photos or like a video that's like a I don't know. My thing was just like, oh, just tweet out I love Power Rangers. Why the rules? But my thing is well, that's what it was. I was just but beyond the structuring of it, hopefully we can do it again next time. It's just a much cleaner I love Power Rangers, here's why, blah 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 blah. But outside of that, the fact that it blew up at all is a huge win for the fandom, and it was a win on Hasbro's part too, that someone in the social media team even acknowledged that this was a thing, because you and I both know that there have been so many years where it was like the fandom and the brand itself were so completely separate from one another. And this is why you get so many in the community going, why aren't they doing more? That's why you get the naysayers like me who are like, oh, I'm gonna look at something negative first before looking at the positive, right? But it's a win for everybody. The fact that anybody the fact that people had an opportunity to even share their love for Power Rangers in such a community focused way is a good thing, because like you and I have also figured out through 2 seasons of this show and through many of the guests we've had on to this point, there aren't a lot of outlets for it. There aren't a lot of outlets for being an open Power Rangers fan and finding other Power Rangers fans.
Yeah, agreed. It's typically, I feel like it's safe to say this. I feel like I can stand behind this statement. I obviously don't. I haven't worked for every outlet. I haven't worked for that. So take, what I'm allowed to say with a grain of salt, obviously, because I don't have the legit data to back this up. But I do feel like a lot of times, with outlets, it's like 1 or 2 people that are super passionate about it. And that's where the coverage, 95% of the coverage comes from. It's 1 or 2 people at a place. And, it's like that with us. It's like 1 or 2 people. It's 2 people. And that's where that coverage comes from. And, so even at your, you have a variety of outlets, but even I would say a smaller fraction of those cover it actively, like we do. So yeah, I agree. I think it's a win for sure. I think it's awesome that, well, number one, look, I actually really enjoy the Power Ranger social account. I've seen their tweets and how they interact and stuff, and I always find it funny. It's kind of like, for me,
they don't have to tweet at all.
Right.
The social media account can legitimately just be like, here's the newest episode of Dino Fury's out. The newest Lightning collection, this is coming out now, pre-order. And that's literally all they have to do. Like, it's a brand at the end of the day, right? Like, they don't have to, it doesn't have to interact with anyone. So shout out to that social media team for at least acknowledging that there are people talking about this brand. Yes.
And we've also had other really cool fan events in the past. Viewing Globe was really cool, and some of the other things that have happened over the years, and those it doesn't always happen. As big as some of those happen and things like that, doesn't always happen where the official people are kind of reaching out there. So I think it's cool. I think it's definitely a win. I do understand where some of the frustration comes from in why the social media presence of Power Rangers isn't greater, as far as there's a section of the fandom that would really, I'm sure, appreciate kind of the more informative angle that you see sometimes from other accounts of
Right.
like, hey, by the way, want to catch up on Dino Charge? Here's where you can find it. Hey, here's this, and like interacting in that way, like being constantly out there where it's active all the time. That is one thing I
Right.
will say, that they're not always like, that account isn't at like always active. So I understand from a degree there, but overall I think it's just really fun. And I think this was a big win. While we're talking about it, since both of us
Oh
failed.
yeah, neither of us got to the
Both of
actual.
us
Yeah,
failed to do
some fans we are right. Like,
this. Since both of us failed to do this, why do we love Power? And for us, we're just going to keep it to one. We can keep it like main reason.
that would have
What
been
is the
mine.
thing that you
Yeah,
love this franchise?
I mean, for my angle of it, it's just cool. Like, it's like at the end of the day, it's just cool. Like, just like I was in the right age pocket at the
Mhm.
right time. Like Mighty Morphin came out and I was glued. I was glued to, but even with like Mystic Knights of Tunanog and VR Troopers and Big Bad Beetleborgs, and at
I
the
love
end of the
VR
day,
Troopers.
yeah, of course, VR Troopers is great. And
It
like
was
even
VR
with like,
Troopers and Biker Mice from Mars went
oh
back to
my god,
back.
yeah, like so yeah, like we got to grow up in the Fox Kids era, so
Yeah,
like of course. And but there's a reason it stuck out amongst everything else. There was monsters like fighting and sparks flying everywhere, and for like a kid growing up, it had everything you wanted in it, and
yeah.
teens, and it was like, and high school stuff, and like, and then Tommy was like the coolest dude ever, and then I think too, I saw Green with Evil first as like my very first Power Rangers thing. I don't think I've ever talked about this on the show, by the
No, I
way,
don't think
but
you ever
like
have.
I saw Green with Evil through the VHS sets that like I
Oh,
was visiting my mom and like her friend whose son, I don't even remember the relationship I had with this kid, but that like he had he had the VHS tapes of Green with Evil, and that is how I saw it. I distinctly remember being in whatever house apartment that was. I distinctly remember the Tommy on the globe. I remember that image of Tommy coming up on the globe and the to be continued, and that's where I stopped. I didn't get to see the rest of it until I actually caught it on TV or whatever. But
yeah.
like that's what hooked me. I was in. I was like, that's all it is for me. At the end of the day, it's just cool, and it stayed cool. It was even like it was whack for a little bit, and it came back around to being cool again.
It was
So,
whack.
it was whack. Like, it
I
was
don't know.
totally whack for like a good while, but then it came cool again. Now,
Yeah.
man, now it's like now it's my career and life, and like it's just this is who I
It's
am
surreal.
now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, that's man. Also, it's nice to see some love for the VHS tapes. Like,
Hey,
you know what I mean?
I'll dig deep for that
Yeah.
stuff. I'll rebuy them.
I
I
don't
will
miss
definitely buy them.
VHS, but I'm not gonna lie. Hasbro's whole like X-Men animated series figures, where they're doing the VHS
Yes,
tape packaging, um, that stuff hits
you're
me right here,
sold,
man.
right? Sold instantly.
Yeah,
Yes.
so easy. Yeah, I agree. I mean, it's hard to argue with. It's cool, and it insanely is. It just kind of stood out from everything on TV back then. It was just
Yes.
so unique. It was so different. Also, I'm a sucker for martial arts, right? I'm a sucker for, cool combat.
Absolutely.
And you had these guys and girls, just like doing drop kicks and flips and all this
They were
stuff. And it was just like,
yes.
how cool is this? It was just the perfect, yeah, it hit me at the perfect time. I was the perfect age for that. I remember, going into, it was like my aunt's room, because she had a TV. Like, we had like two TVs in the house, and she had the smaller TV, but it was like one I could control, aside from the living room one, which was split up amongst however many family members. And I would go into her room like around that time and just like watch like that whole 2 hour block, of stuff. And Power Rangers was always it. And I had the flip figures, like the retro flips
Nice.
now. Like, I had those figures, and there was just something cool about it. And now it's one of those things where I didn't really appreciate it back then, because I was like, oh, hey, they're awesome looking, and the Zords look cool, and the martial arts is
Right.
great. But then later, like that, geez, Power Rangers still outpaces Marvel and DC as far as like representation and diversity and the amount of people. It's insane. I mean, if you do a 1-to-1 comparison there, it's not even close. There's just so much, you know. But I didn't appreciate that back then. I'm not gonna claim that now. I'm not gonna say like, oh yeah, I was on top of it.
Of course, because back then they're just people, you know, and you're just a person, and you know, you don't years later you don't realize, oh, they're different people of different, you know. So
I wasn't that complex a thinker back then. Okay,
exactly. I mean, we were watching Power Rangers. How complex were we gonna get? You know.
Exactly.
Speaking of the flip heads, so one of my favorite kid memories that, like, in my head, I remember it this way, but I have no idea what the actual reality of the situation was. So I had the flip head red as a kid, and there was one day I threw it on the roof. I threw it on the roof of my house. I don't remember what led to me throwing it on the roof, but it went up there. And so months passed by, maybe even like a year. I don't know. It felt really long in kid time. A smaller red Ranger figure comes like off the roof. So I don't know. And it was like completely the same. It wasn't a flip head either in retrospect. But back then I was like, I threw a Red Ranger up there and it came back smaller after. So in my head, I was like, did it shrink on the roof? But I don't know what the reality was. I'm sure I threw more than a single Power Ranger up on that roof. But somehow I threw one up there and one came down smaller. That's
why did
always
you throw toys on your roof?
Why does anybody do anything? Okay.
Why do people put glue all over their hands and peel?
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying? Yeah.
I was a kid, you know. I like for years I had a stuffed Red Ranger, like it was like one of the wrestling buddies, but it was like a Red Power Ranger type thing.
Yeah.
And I had the Thunder Zords, but I never got the red one. So I would transform all the little parts and try and stuff it on the Red Ranger to make it like the Megazord. And so that's what I'm saying. Like, these are kid things. Who knows why kids do what they do? But that's why I did what I did. And this is all just stuff that comes from the love of like watching this one show and playing with so many toys. And now it's just like, those are some of my favorite memories, you know?
And it's awesome too, because now with Ember, Ember has jacked almost all of my Dino Fury figures.
Nice.
From my office. 3 of them, those she saw them. They were all posed behind me, and then like little by little, like one would disappear. I was like, where is my Red Ranger? And then I would like go look, and it's like in her cart, and I'm like, why is it in your cart? And so then I would go, and then like I put it back, and then like a week later, like 2 were missing, and then like I noticed them in her room. So then I finally just like gave them to her. I was like, okay, they're yours. You can play with them.
Sounds right.
I endorse this. I want you to play with Power Rangers figures, and now she has the 3 that they released previously. And so, but it's awesome. I mean, I just love, like, she sat here with the Dino Knight Morpher and just like kept hitting the button the other day, and it was just so good. That generational thing is one thing I also adore about the franchise, and so I'm glad to pass it on. But
just don't let her throw it on the roof, Matt. That's all you got to do. Still let her throw it on the roof.
Don't throw it on the roof. Yeah, I think we got a little time. So one of the things, of course, that they revealed was the first figure of Wave 12. I believe it is Wave 12 of Lightning Collection, which was Wild Force Blue. And I think we were actually talking about Wild Force. Was the last episode, day before? About like how that one needs to be kind of represented in the line and get some love. And lo and behold, there's one. So we've got one. And then, of course, so the figure actually looks cool. They revealed like a first photo of the figure, but then Lightning Fig PR revealed some placeholder images and details in, I think it's Walmart. Was it Walmart's site? And of like the rest of the wave. So of course, obviously things could change, but these tend to be pretty on the money. So if this holds up, it would be, so it's Wild Force Blue, Lost Galaxy Green, Mighty Morphin Black, and Dino Thunder Yellow would be the rest of the wave.
Ooh, okay.
Which is a good assortment. Obviously,
Kira figure changes everything. So
Kira figure is awesome. I'm definitely. I mean, I like Dino Thunder. I'm a big fan of those suits.
Right.
And so I would definitely, I do find it, didn't we? I thought we already had an MPR Black, but we only had the special, was it Walgreens? Like the Walgreens exclusive or something with,
I
was it
think
the Dragon
so. It
Shield?
was like the Dragon Shield version.
Okay.
And
Yeah.
I don't think there's been like a standard, because we've had the Ninja Adam, and we've had, yeah. Huh.
Yeah. So this
That's,
will probably come with both heads, I would imagine, a Zach and Adam, just to get the most out of that mold. I cannot remember if the other version did.
yeah,
I can't remember if it did or not. It's been so long.
Yeah.
Lost Galaxy Green, that's the second, right? Second Lost Galaxy or third? I can't.
There's
not
been
remembering off the top
Lost
of my head.
Galaxy Blue, and I
Lost
want to
Galaxy
say
Red.
and I
Red
feel
was
like
in
we
a
got
2-pack.
I feel like we got a pink.
Did we get a
But
pink?
that
Okay.
might have just been wishful thinking, maybe.
Oh.
'cause
I do
yeah.
notice a lack of Mystic Force in this
You're never
wave.
gonna get it. You're never gonna get it.
Hell? Why won't they give me Mystic Force?
It's the cape situation, right? Like,
Make them black. They did Magna Defender. It was fine. It's
no,
fine.
it wasn't.
It
No, it
was.
wasn't.
Was
No, it
fine.
wasn't.
The cape
No, it
was
wasn't.
not the problem with that figure.
No, yeah, I've said this in version 1.0, but the problem was that it didn't come with a tiny version of his kid. Yeah,
That's the deluxe.
yeah,
That's the deluxe assortment.
I gotta get that someday. I gotta get it. Love Magna Defender, but yeah, that's I Wild Force Blue is funny though, because I've always been a big Danny fan, so I was always Wild Force Black for me. You know, Danny Delgado, man. You gotta I mean, as a brown kid growing up, I was always drawn to
I understand.
Yeah.
Right there with you. I get it,
yeah. That was. And going all the way back around to like talking about representation, only years later was I was able to be like, oh, I was growing up watching people like me on the screen. Of course, like super athletic, heightened versions of myself that I pretended to be, but like like that's another good generational thing too. Like even it's especially now, we've talked about it in the past with like Dino Fury. There's a whole variety of representation in Dino Fury now. Like that's I'm glad for kids these days,
Yeah, seriously. Yeah, it's a pretty awesome time to look on a screen and see yourself. Like Ember's going to have a multitude of people, whether that's across wrestling, Power Rangers, movies and TV, Marvel and DC.
Yeah.
To look at and go, oh, hey, I see myself in someone. You're likely to see yourself in someone far more now than you were when I was growing up. But again, Power Rangers was great for that. So if we're going to Wave 13, then who's the person? Because I won't make us guess the whole wave, but who's the person that like you want in Wave 13? Who's that one?
I would say someone from Mystic Force. I know, like, just so I could just so every episode I'm not here, like,
just so I can shut up. Is that what you're saying right now? Just so I don't have to.
In a way,
ramble on about Mystic Force. Okay.
Like, yes, I would love for you to finally get your Udana. Like
one day, man.
One day, outside of that, RPM. I'd love some RPM representation. Yes. Finally, like I don't think RPM in particular. I think anyone from the line would be fine.
Yeah.
Maybe like the gold and silver 2-pack would be dope. I think I would enjoy that the most. But RPM deserves some love too.
Yeah, I agree.
What do you think?
Those are both good picks. I think those are both good picks. I think
Mystic Force. Udana.
I think, man, I've been pulling for that stupid figure forever.
You have been. Go back to episode 1. It's on the record.
I stumped for Ranger Slayer, and I got my Ranger Slayer. Then I stumped for Andros. I got my Andros. I got like multiple versions.
You got your many Androses.
Yes,
you got so many Androses. Even the comics have that black version with the little gold thing on him now. Yeah, you.
So good. I'm really in like heaven. I mean, honestly, I think is it George Jr.? I think he did a custom of Yale. He did a custom version of Yale as like in the LC line. And I saw that and I went, my God, I need that. It's the one thing where I'm like, okay, if you're gonna do a Build-A-Figure line at some point, like one wave, do Build-A-Figure, do that one. Like make Yale. Because then like he would be super big and oh my God, I want an Omega Ranger. Honestly, that's probably the one I really want, like outside of Mystic Force. But yeah, that's what I want.
Have you heard about the whole cardboard box thing? I've seen that. I've seen it pop up, and most of the time I see these complaints and I'm like, okay, I have a job and a life and I'm not going to sit here worrying about this, but that one actually kind of concerns me a little bit. I'm like,
okay, why?
Mostly because I can't display everything out. I don't take everything out. A lot of the times I keep them in packages and they make for good setups that way too. But I like having the window inside. And also I do finally, in that sense, I finally get the criticism of like, what if there are mistakes in this figure? Like, what if I bring it home and finally decide to open it and it's completely wrong? What if it's a figure?
But truthfully though, you'll never know. So are you really being hurt? Because you won't open it. You're never gonna open it.
It's the Schrodinger's Power Ranger. Like if I decide to open it, it's gonna be wrong. Like it's the Schrodinger's. Are you
going to open it?
Maybe. Because that maybe is always there. I need to have the option to look at it. Like
so
that's what it is.
I'm for saving the earth, Nick. Right. God bless.
I mean, look, you're already making little figures out of plastic.
Like, what's the what's the word I'm looking for? Your own eccentricities, your own collecting eccentricities over the earth. Wow.
I mean, like, let's not get into that. I'm not on the Wild Force team. I'm not here to get lectured by, I forget. Oh man, I was gonna pull out that joke, but I forget that. I forget that that Megazord thing's name. And he was a kid. He came and he was like, "I'm testing you. You don't like the Earth."
I'm not helping you. I'm not helping you insult me. I'm not gonna do it. I'm not doing that. I'm not helping you attack me. That's not what we're doing here. So you're on that limb by yourself. As someone who opens all of their stuff, I have like 3 people. I've lost Nick. Nick broken. As someone who opens everything, aside from I think I have like 3 things in the box, and typically they're signed. It's the only way I don't really open it. And then, of course, I have like 2 figures that I haven't opened because they were super hard to find. When I find another one or they're readily available, I'll go ahead and open them. But after that, I don't. What? Why am I getting a look from Anissa? What did I say that was not true? I don't open boxes. Oh my God! I don't need it from both angles. Okay, I got this one trying to hit me with Power Ranger stuff. Okay. So
the joke would have landed. The joke.
I open up everything, right? Because I've posted stuff on Twitter and they're like, "You opened it?" I was like, "Of course. I can't. I gotta play with all the toys. I gotta do it. I gotta have it displayed." So I'm very much in the camp where like this doesn't really affect me, mostly because like I've yet to, I think where's wood right now? Here, knock on wood. As I have yet to actually buy a figure aside from like one. I think there was one time in all the time I've bought figures, there's been like one time where it was actually like missing a piece. I don't even think it was faulty where like the things pulled out or whatever. It was just like missing a piece. And even then it was kind of like, it was like a accessory that, I didn't even care about or whatever.
Right.
So like I've had really good experiences with doing that. And I don't, to be honest, don't even like when I'm looking at a figure through the packaging or whatever, I'm looking at lightness typically.
Right.
Or like, how good does this look upon like first impression? I'm really not scanning for, is this line out of place? Is the painted or what. I'm not gonna notice. I'm
Look,
not. It's as soon as it goes on my shelf,
I'm
I'm gonna not even notice that. It's gonna look.
I
cool.
agree with you there. I agree
Yeah.
with you there. But it's the fact that you can't scan it at all that
But,
gets to me.
but I don't do it. I hardly do it now.
You can't tell me you don't look at the things through the package. You can't.
I do.
Like,
No, I do. It's a very cursory scan to like make sure that like the head is not from a Fantastic Four figure
no,
down the
but
line. Like that's what I look
okay.
at.
I
Like
don't
that's
know,
it. It's very base. I
as
don't
someone
really
who
like
keeps
sit there.
as someone who keeps many things in boxes, I've always appreciated being able to look at it and RFB. You know, always been able to appreciate that. Never removed from box. Dexter's Lab.
Thank you,
So
Jesus.
yeah, I always appreciate.
I'm like, you can see the gears turning. I'm like sitting there trying to figure out what the hell that
I got
acronym
you.
means.
I got you. And just in case for the buddies at home too, just in case, you know. But
oh my God.
I appreciate having that option. You know, and
I
that's
get
all it is. It's the same thing. It's when I look at the I Love Power Rangers and saw 3 like so many rules. It's the same thing. I'm like, I like having the option of just, you know, being easier with it. It's like I gotta open it, you know,
Nick doesn't like
just
turtles.
to check. You know what? That's me in a nutshell. I think you've nailed it. I think you've nailed it.
We don't like
I don't like
barriers of
hurdles.
entry. I
Yes.
understand. So, in the outside of the figure world, there is now. This is strictly, by the way, a rumor slash. I don't even know if you can go report, but like we'll say rumor slash report. I don't really, you know, like this one isn't like I didn't vet this one as far as like going back into the things. So we'll classify it strictly in the rumor category. However,
okay.
a couple of people in the fandom were kind of talking about it, and so it seemed pertinent to talk with our kind of general Hasbro discussion. So a rumor from I believe I'm going to say this right, Jinsaku. I hope I said that right. Going around has people saying that like PR is not a priority for the new Hasbro CEO because of course they replaced the late Brian Goldner, and so they're doubling down on Dungeons and Dragons and Transformers. Transformers makes all the sense in the world. It's like one of their biggest franchises. It survives movie flops and still continues to be a monster. Dungeons and Dragons, they've seen a lot of growth.
Yeah.
And so they're in that. So that makes sense as well. So they're doubling down on those, and kind of PR is not a priority, but there is a push or a want anyway from the CEO to get that movie in theaters. So whenever the Power Rangers movie does hit, they do want to get it in theaters. And they also mentioned that there will be a small hiatus after season 30. So once 30th anniversary and all that, then they might take a break. And then I don't know what the plan is to like retool it or what, go all original, who knows, right? So do you think if that ends up being true, again, I take grain of salt. I have no idea if that's true. But you know, would it hurt the momentum of the franchise? Because while some will say like obviously like I wouldn't say like we're back to MMPR levels of popularity, obviously. I will say that we've made a lot of headway from when Hasbro got the franchise to now.
Dino Fury is way bigger than Beast Morphers, and it's like you can see, and Beast Morphers was already way bigger than Ninja Steel, and you know, and so on and so forth. Like you're alluding to, there have been very incremental changes in terms of recognition and popularity from both older fans like us and newer eyeballs. So.
So do you halt that momentum? Because like if you're going to take a break, you know, hiatus indicates not, I mean, typically a hiatus during the show is what, a couple months, but like hiatus after season 30 seems like they're not even going to, like that kind of sort of indicates that they're not even going to film. Like they would take a literal break before casting the next season, before getting that going, and
and who knows how long they would take before they figured out what to do next. You know, that's the scary part. Normally I would be like, no, because like as we've seen with the I Love Power Rangers movement, fans can very well keep the franchise alive. They've kept it alive for 30 years. You know, even we went through hiatuses already. We've been through two of them, you know, with the loss of licenses and changes and all that stuff under the hood. So we can do it again. But at the same time, I totally like the length of a rumored hiatus, if there would be one. That is what would worry me, because you're right, there is a lot more momentum these days, and to shutter that in favor of coming out with something from scratch and doing it all over again, that would be a significant hiccup. It would be, even with a movie, you know, like
well, a movie doesn't. There's this like misnomer that a movie fixes everything, and I just that's just so dumb to me. Like, it's never, because here's the thing: the evidence is not there. It's never done that. No movie alone can like jumpstart a franchise. It's rare. I'm not saying it hasn't.
It's only worked once with the MCU, and that's literal lightning in a bottle, you know. And even then, it didn't really take off until Avengers. They kind of forced it until it worked, you know. So there's a reason. But
like, there was also like a giant comics world, you know what I mean? Like going and these characters, there were other elements. These characters were, to an extent, some of them, obviously, like Iron Man was a B player. Honestly, sometimes depending on the run, even a C player compared to other heroes in the Marvel universe before the movie came. And then now he's like one of the premier people, but that really wasn't the case before, right? So obviously, like in his case, it helped him. But I just say, like, that's not something that, like, I would not put all my eggs in that basket.
Absolutely 100% agree.
Yeah, I feel like you need the incremental things of the show and this kind of growing movement behind, you know, the series. And then you've got the comics still going strong, and then you've got the collector's line, and they're doing more stuff like that. All of that stuff together with a movie can do something.
Absolutely
putting
agree.
All the bets on that just seems like I don't know, especially the 30th. Like, that's when you want to jump forward. You want to use that as a launching pad to for the future, and not as a finale. And then, hey, we're gonna restart stuff. I don't know. To me, that I hope that's not the case.
Yeah, I agree, because it's, you know, there's a reason it's been a show all these years, and even when it got picked up again by Disney, by Hasbro, like, there's a reason it stayed as a show. Even, you know, even when there was an attempted reboot, even back in the Mighty Morphin days, we had the Morphin and Turbo movies, and nothing happened from there, but the show still kept going.
Yep.
And there's, you know, and that's the thing, like going along what you're saying, without the show, without a constant presence of, I know, unfortunately, you have to say it like this, but without a constant presence of new content, then you lose, you know, any kind of even interest. Like, it's not momentum, but it's interest that you should be really concerned about. Like, it's will there be interest when the franchise, if or even does in fact return someday? Because, like we've seen, they can just do MMPR toys forever, and I will buy them. You know, so.
Oh my God. That's yes, you are correct. You are correct. You will buy them and you will adore them. And by the way, I just saw that Lord Zed helmet. Where was I? Where did I see that thing? I saw I was at a GameStop.
Yeah.
Right?
It's huge, dude.
It's so big in person.
That's why it fits on my head. That's why I'm able to, like, actually wear that one out of all the helmets, because it's huge.
Yeah,
but
I didn't realize it. It looks big in pictures. Well, that sounds weird.
But also it's great. It's great. Like, more of that. I'll take more. I'll take a Rita face. I don't care. But going back,
I want squat.
But
give me a squat.
Thing, a squatter babu helmet.
Give me that. I will wear that all day.
No, but the other thing I wanted to bring up with that, if there is a hiatus, I hope they use the Netflix platform to, you know, to actually bring back all the licenses from the shows that they lost already. You remember, there was a period where all the Power Ranger shows were on Netflix, and I was watching just random episodes every day of, like, random, like, this it actually helped to keep me going. So, like, I think if we don't have that new content, give us an easier way to watch the old stuff.
That was in retrospect, that was a super weird decision. In retrospect, because I understood it at the time of like, okay, well, that wouldn't be my approach necessarily. Like, that's not convenient for me. But at the end of the day, like, I understood, okay, stop paying whatever deal you've made with Netflix. Like, keep the ones that generate the most on there, as far as like views, I guess, and whatever deal's lucrative for you with Netflix, which they did, right? So they kept MMPR.
Yeah, it's MMPR. That's all they've got on
that's
there,
it.
basically.
And then all the other ones are like releasing to YouTube, and they're going to be free, right? So they're free, like, which is awesome. The fact that you don't actually have to own a service, I am actually amazed that at this point in time we're actually complaining about the fact that something is free on
something is free.
That is kind of ludicrous to me, because it's like they're not charging you for it or whatever. However, the rollout has been wonky, and so I understand where some of the frustration comes from that. But so I understood what they were going for. But then you flash forward to now, and it's like, oh, well, Dino Fury is on Netflix, and it's a Netflix like exclusive and whatever. And you're like, well, then why did you take you take all the other ones off? If you were going to do that anyway, then put all of this stuff back there and make that your one-stop shop. Which, yes, I know Netflix just lost subscribers for the first time, and Lord knows how. They still have like 200 million.
I mean, at the end of the day, it's still Netflix. It's not going anywhere. Let's put out the fires, everyone. Put out the fires.
It's a stupid huge market that they have there. So if you've already got your most popular season and you have the new season, now it just seems odd. Now I don't understand the approach. I don't know if maybe they just pivoted and, they've already committed to this. So, okay, well, we're just going to do that. Maybe they come back later. Who knows? But it does seem odd now. In retrospect, it's odd. I don't really understand it. But, and that actually brings us to our last thing. What could, looking just at this next season of Dino Fury.
Right.
Or sorry, the remainder of the season, I should say.
The rest of season 2. Yes.
Right. So looking at that, what could Netflix and even Hasbro, what could they do to improve on the delivery of that and get behind it in a way that maybe makes it a bigger deal?
I don't even know, Matt. Because
is there anything they can do?
No. The unfortunate thing with Netflix is that once it's on there, that's it. It's thrown into the sea. it's literally like, good luck, everyone. And the most the social media team can do is be like, hey, it's out there. Good luck, everybody.
But like, there's so I agree to an extent. I agree as someone who loves the binge model. I agree to an extent. I don't look at the binge model as like a negative, because I actually prefer taking in content that way. But at the same time, I do feel like there are ways to. So like, okay, if you look at The Witcher and look at what The Witcher does, The Witcher, it's all up there at one time, but like, they're always doing featurettes, and they're always doing like behind the scenes, and they're always doing new interviews with not just like with press, because obviously they're doing that too, but like they're doing interviews like amongst the team, and like Cavill's getting up there and doing like a one-on-one thing and going behind the scenes of like a particular scene or episode. They're always doing stuff,
right?
And then they're also always sharing what's coming next, because like they have been pretty open about like on Instagrams and on Twitter and whatever. Hey, look, we're already working on this season 3. We're already doing this. Hey, look, here's this thing. They're kind of future forward. They're always looking, and then also they're providing new interesting wrinkles for you to maybe go back and watch that other stuff, because now you know something, or now you want to watch it or whatever. They're always doing that stuff. So why can't, like, with the powerhouse that is Netflix behind you, same company. So like, why can't you do more of that? That is what I would like to see. Like, let's get blooper reels released as we go.
It really does depend on what kind of exclusive to Netflix thing it is, right? Because the only reason Netflix promotes Umbrella Academy season 3 so many times, the fact that I know there's an Umbrella Academy season 3 coming, the fact that I know there's
Right.
a Stranger Things season 4, and it's because those are strictly Netflix made, under the Netflix banner umbrella. And if like Power Rangers just exclusively Netflix, oh, here go my words. If it's exclusively licensed by Netflix, that's a whole different deal. They can
Agreed.
they only need to celebrate the fact that they have it. And but also I
Yeah.
can see where you're coming from. Like it would do so much to just have the Netflix Geeked account, even to be like, hey, Power Rangers Dino Fury season 2 is up.
They do
All it
polls
needs,
all the time.
yes,
They do like
yes,
and also you're right to a point of like it wouldn't be Netflix's responsibility to do that because Netflix is not, because you're right.
yeah,
It's not their original. They're not putting the money behind creating that. So it's not their own
yes,
in-house project. But that would go to Hasbro then and the
yes,
social team and stuff like
very
that
true.
to
Yes,
do that stuff to continually keep it in the zeitgeist so that people know like, oh hey, it's on there, oh hey, it's on there, right? It's half of it is just reminding people what the hell is out there. How many times have I gone to watch? I've missed because there's just such a monumental amount of content that's hitting you every week from everywhere, because there's like 90 streaming services now plus movies
right,
plus TV, network TV, and all that. So I miss stuff all the time. Like I miss stand-up
absolutely.
specials of people I follow. I still miss their stuff, right? So it's the like Netflix does this with their stand-up comedy specials all the time. Their Netflix is a joke and all those like little clips they're always sharing. Like, hey, I forgot that like this person had a stand-up special. It released 3 months ago. I then went and watched it. Like it doesn't have to be within that first week. I understand that
Right.
there is a want for that. And it is, you're right. It is incredibly overwhelming trying to watch everything. So I get to some stuff at my own pace, and I won't see it if you don't keep hitting me over the head that it's
And
there. You got
doesn't
to do
that
that.
in a way, this all kind of feeds back into the original core of this conversation with the fact that the fans had to, yes, Sir Glean, like, who is also agreeing with that it's very overwhelming trying to watch everything, and this includes everything, single thing on Netflix, everything like that, but also too going back to the fact that the fans have to take this into their own hands
Right.
and do this really. And like I said, of course it's a positive to say that we can keep it going through a hiatus or through a whatever, through a pause, because we've already done that for so long. But
Right.
also, why is there a need to do that? Why aren't we
Yeah.
getting the, like, why isn't it led by the social, whoever's behind the social media team? Kudos to you for joining, but it's also like, hey, clearly if a fan could put this together and
Yeah.
get other fans
True.
involved, then imagine
Why? Yeah.
imagine the reaching power of the actual brand, of someone sitting there going, hey, we've got Dino Fury season 2 coming, hashtag why I want,
Yeah.
like, love Dino Fury or
Agreed.
something like that. Like,
That's yeah. You gotta
it
you
all
gotta
goes
do
back
that.
around to that. Yeah.
Yeah. I
And
agree with you.
that's,
I
yeah,
100%. At the end of the day, I am actually I'm pretty pragmatic about like understanding like when toys get delayed or
of course.
why they pick certain figures to go in a line, or why they pick one brand over another as far as like seasons within the thing because it sells, or when it comes to like decisions that are made for like ultimate business reasons, I typically am more understanding than not, because I like, okay, yes, it's not my job as a consumer to necessarily, I don't need to be making excuses for the brand all the time, or I don't need to be
Right.
excusing this thing that I don't like. But I'm also not coming at it completely from like I'm a consumer. I'm always right. Please serve me. I don't come at it from there either. I try to be
Exactly.
kind of somewhere in the
Yes.
middle, right? But at the end of the day, also this kind of thing, this is also not our job.
Yeah.
This is not my baby. I love it and I love support, and I will support it in whatever way I can. But at the end of the day, it's not my job to keep your $400 million investment afloat or in the eyes of people. I don't have any power to do that, nor do I have a role in that. So at the end of the day, it's kind of like, well, if you want that to happen, you got to do that. I can't constantly, like I can't be like, I'm taking it upon responsibility myself. No, I don't get paid for that.
Yeah.
So like, at the end of the day, it's kind of like you find yourself kind of in the middle of wanting that, understanding why it doesn't happen all the time, but still going like, if you want it to grow, there is going to have to be some additional kind of stuff that happens to kind of keep pushing it like other franchises get pushed. So
yes, and that goes back to what you were saying about the fact that there might be a break and they might want to recontextualize how they view the Power Rangers brand, and that goes into part of it, right? Like the marketing, is unfortunately, in our line of work, we know what that's like, and and that's the thing. It's like it's probably like 75% of the importance of the actual project itself. It's of course the thing is important once people see it, but you have to get the butts in the seats, right? So it's like you can't just like, let's say there is a movie, and and like you were saying, it's already so tough to start a movie franchise and make a movie universe through one movie. Now imagine that with the same kind of support they give the TV series releases, and they give everything else with basically nothing, and the movie comes out and it's like, well, and Matt, we did see that already in 2017, right? Like we've already seen what that looks like. So
you had a great movie, you had a great cast,
absolutely,
you had a storyline set for the future,
absolutely,
you had some big budget names, and it didn't take off. And even then, it wasn't even necessary, because like Lionsgate put money behind it. They advertised the shit out of that movie. I mean, as far as like from like promos and video clips and stuff like that. But at the end of the day, like it just, you can see that like this can also, it can be a great movie. You can really enjoy it, and it can be, really kind of nail something within the franchise and still not be this kickstarting franchise thing moving forward.
And that's with the support of the company behind it. That's with the support. So imagine all of that, but with the dry bones over here.
It's just I hope some of these things are, all of this stuff I imagine is in flux, right? It also
of course
on how other things do. I mean, no shade, by the way, on either of the other two franchises in that, because like obviously Dungeons and Dragons has grown so much in the last just few years because there's been this kind of overall tabletop renaissance, and I totally get wanting to build on that. And two, Transformers is Transformers. Like I'm not gonna you know what I mean? Like
I mean, if they think Power Rangers fans are wild, like look at the I don't want to make a whole other fan base angry. I'm fine fighting my own, but I do not have gloves in the Transformers fight. But
Transformers, that's a huge franchise. I mean, look, dude, it's not easy. Look what happened to G.I. Joe. They've had 3 shots at that, and they have yet to really find the winning.
And that's G.I. Joe. That's G.I. Joe.
G.I. Joe.
Yeah, like
that movie franchise had Bruce Willis and The Rock in it at one point. Like, come on, like
that's very true. That's so true, Matt. Like, if they can't get people in those seats, what could, right? So
it's the freaking Rock, man. Like, Black Adam. Yeah. Anyway, so that is interesting. I do hope we see some movement on there. I do hope that we don't get a hiatus. I would say that to kind of close things out. I hope that we build on this, because they're really doing some great step building with each season. I feel like they really, grow by leaps and bounds. They've got a great cast. They have a toy line that has had its issues, but remarkably is still like putting out stuff I want on a regular basis. Weird presentations aside, they're still putting out stuff that I want. So, I hope that we get some movement there. So that's where we leave on that. Anything you want to shout out before we head out?
No, so before the episode, I was going to shout out the I Love Power Rangers thing. I mean, I complained about it, all that stuff, but I think it's just the general it's just the general vibe. Like, shout outs to everyone who actually participated, instead of me going, oh, I should do that eventually, and then you talk about it later on my show, But shout out to everyone who participated, and glad there are so many other Power Rangers fans out there. I think that's
For sure.
ultimately to end this on a sweeter note for me. Yeah,
Look
I'm
at you.
happy to see that there are so many people who are in the same pocket as I am, who and who just love a TV show. It's just like, yeah, like I finally get it. Like it's one of those things where I look at Star Wars fans and I look at Marvel fans and like, yeah, I'll go watch those movies, but like this one I get. I understand this one where it's like it's such a huge part of my life, and yeah, shout outs to that in general. Yeah.
Look at you. Look at that. There it is. That's a way to end on a positive note. Yeah, I don't have anything to add. I think it's a really cool thing. I love when the fandom comes together and does stuff like this. It's actually part of why we do the show.
Yeah.
We do this show because we love it, this franchise, and we want to just honestly geek out about it and talk about it in a fun conversational way. And it's also why I love when we get people on here from other parts of the fandom. It's part of the fun of just getting to talk about all the things that brings people to this franchise. So I want to do that more, and I'm looking forward to doing it more. And
Absolutely.
power on, man. More power to everybody.
Like there's nothing Power Rangers fans want to talk about more than Power Rangers,
It's
at
really
the end
not.
of the day, right? Yeah.
It's really not. Like, other than Funko Pops, I think that's pretty much like what I talk about all the time.
It's very neck and neck.
Well, and wrestling.
Yeah.
I talk about wrestling a lot. Yeah. So it's all good. But until next time, of course. Oh, by the way, update. I am this close to getting everything back on Apple Podcasts.
I've 1.0. The archives are there. Yes.
In getting, all the stuff is there. All the episodes are actually, and I will put a link in the description of this because they're all up on the site still. So we didn't lose them. They're all there for download. I will have the site put in the show notes so that you can go there. You can listen to all our old episodes. So they're all available. I'm just trying to get them back onto Apple Podcasts, and it's making me jump through like 90 hoops. So whenever I do that, they will be available there. But in the meantime, you can definitely go check out. And we had some great discussions, so you should definitely do that. And we'll be back in 2 weeks to talk more Power Rangers. Thanks to everybody for jumping in. Appreciate it.
Bye, everybody.
Peace, love, and something. I don't